Sam always loved his lake cabin. It was small, quiet, and far from the noise of the city. He had gone there for a week to relax, but a storm warning came earlier than expected. Dark clouds rolled in over the lake, and the weather report on the radio told of heavy rain and strong winds. Sam thought it would be better to return home than risk getting stuck. The drive back was calm. The highway was not busy, and Sam enjoyed the steady hum of his car. He thought about how he would spend the rest of his week at home. Maybe he could finish the book he had left on his nightstand, or maybe he would take care of the small garden in his backyard. The thought made him smile. When he reached his neighborhood, the streets looked peaceful. Children were playing on their bikes, neighbors were walking their dogs, and the trees swayed gently in the warm afternoon air. Sam parked his car in the driveway and stretched his arms. It felt good to be home. He carried his bags inside and placed them in the living room. The house smelled faintly of wood polish, the way it always did when it had been closed for days. Sam opened a window to let in fresh air. As he moved around the house, he noticed something strange. The side gate that led to his backyard was open. Sam was sure he had locked it before leaving for the cabin. He walked over and pushed it shut, though he tried not to think much about it. Perhaps the wind had blown it open, or maybe the latch was loose. Still, the thought lingered. He shook his head and went back inside to unpack. He was setting down a bag of groceries when there came a sharp knock at the door. Sam wiped his hands on his jeans and opened it. Standing there was Karen, the head of the neighborhood HOA. She was known for always watching what people did. Her arms were crossed, and her eyebrows were drawn tight. "You were supposed to be at your lake cabin all week," Karen said in a sharp voice. "Why are you back so early?" Sam raised his brow. "Because it is my house. I can come back whenever I like." Karen frowned. "We had reports of unusual activity around here. If you left, you should not be back without letting us know. I may have to call the police to check if everything is fine." Sam was confused. He kept his voice calm. "Karen, this is my home. I do not need permission to be here. I just came back because of the storm. Nothing is wrong." Karen did not look satisfied. She glanced past Sam, peeking into the house as if searching for something. Then she pulled out her phone. "I think I should call anyway," she said firmly. Sam sighed. He did not like arguments, but he also did not like being treated as if he was doing something wrong. Before he could answer, Karen was already speaking on the phone. Within minutes, the sound of a patrol car filled the quiet street. Neighbors began to peek from their windows, curious about what was happening. The children on their bikes stopped riding and stood watching. 2 police officers stepped out of the car. They looked calm but alert. Karen walked straight to them, pointing toward Sam's house. "This man came back early. He said he left for the cabin, but now he is here. Something does not add up." Sam shook his head and greeted the officers politely. "Good afternoon. I am Sam. This is my house. I returned early because of the storm. There is nothing unusual." The officers glanced at each other, then at Karen. One of them asked Sam for his identification. Sam went inside, picked up his wallet, and showed his driver's license. It clearly had his name and his address on it. The officers nodded. "Everything looks fine, sir," one of them said. "You live here. There is no problem." Karen's face tightened. "But the reports. The gate. Something is wrong." The other officer raised his hand. "Ma'am, Unless you have real evidence, there is no reason for concern. The man is in his own home. Please let him be. Sam felt a wave of relief. But as the officers returned to their car, he noticed Karen staring at him with cold eyes. Her lips pressed into a thin line, and it was clear she was not finished. Sam closed the door, but a thought bothered him. If his gate had really been opened, who had done it? And why was Karen so certain that something was going on? The storm outside might have passed him by, but a different kind of storm was now brewing in his neighborhood. The evening settled in quiet around Sam's house. The sun had dipped behind the rooftops, leaving a soft glow in the sky. Sam tried to relax after the strange visit from Karen and the police, but his mind kept circling back to the gate and her cold stare. Something about it did not sit right with him. He made himself a cup of tea and sat on the porch. The neighborhood looked peaceful, yet he felt uneasy. A couple of neighbors waved from across the street, and Sam returned the gesture, though he wondered if they had also heard Karen's complaint. News spread quickly in a place like this. After a while, Sam went back inside. He walked through the rooms, checking if anything seemed out of place. Everything appeared normal. The doors were locked, the windows were closed, and his belongings were just as he had left them. Still, the open gate kept bothering him. He made a mental note to fix the latch in the morning. As night deepened, Sam decided to sleep early. The long drive from the lake cabin had tired him. He lay in bed, listening to the faint hum of crickets outside. But just as he was about to drift off, a sound broke the stillness. It was faint, like a soft scrape, coming from the backyard. Sam sat up, alert. He waited for a moment, straining his ears. The sound came again, this time clearer. Someone was moving outside. His heart pounded, and he quietly got out of bed. He walked to the back door and peeked through the curtain. The yard was dimly lit by the street light beyond the fence. At first, he saw nothing. Then his eyes caught a shadow moving near the gate. It was not the wind. Someone was definitely there. Sam's first thought was to call the police, but then he decided to step outside carefully. He switched on the back porch light and opened the door. The sudden brightness startled the figure near the gate. To Sam's shock, it was Karen. She froze, caught in the act of trying to push the gate open again. "Karen!" Sam called out, his voice firm but calm. "What are you doing in my yard at night?" Karen straightened herself quickly, her face pale in the porch light. "I was just checking," she stammered. "We had reports of strange things here. I wanted to make sure nothing was wrong." Sam frowned. "This is my private property. You cannot come here without permission. Especially not in the middle of the night." Karen's eyes darted nervously. "I was only trying to help. You never know what could be happening. Someone has to keep watch." Before Sam could answer, a car passed slowly on the street. The headlights lit the scene, and the driver slowed down, clearly noticing Karen standing inside Sam's yard. Karen stepped back quickly, muttering, "You should be grateful I care about this neighborhood." Then she slipped through the gate and hurried away. Sam locked the gate firmly and returned inside, shaken but also angry. It was one thing for Karen to call the police in the afternoon, but sneaking into his yard at night was too much. He decided he would have to address the situation in the morning. The next day, Sam went out early to check his garden. The storm clouds had passed overnight, leaving the air fresh and cool. As he looked around, he noticed small footprints near the back fence. They were fresh, and they clearly belonged to an adult. Sam felt sure now. Karen had been trespassing, and maybe more than once. Later, as he drove to the local store for supplies, two neighbors waved him down. One of them, an older man named Tom, asked, "Hey Sam, was that Karen I saw in your yard last night?" My wife thought she recognized her when we drove by. Sam gave a small nod. Yes, she was there. She said she was checking for safety. But she had no right to be on my property. Tom shook his head. That woman takes her role too far. You should be careful. She has a way of making trouble. Sam thanked him and drove on, but the warning stayed in his mind. When he returned home, he found Karen standing near his driveway again, as if she had been waiting. She smiled, but it was not a warm smile. "Sam, we need to talk," she said firmly. "There are rules in this community, and you cannot just ignore them. People are watching. You cannot come and go without telling us." Sam set down his bag and looked her in the eye. "Karen, I respect the neighborhood. But this is my home, not yours. I will not report to anyone when I come or leave. And I will not accept you entering my yard at night." Karen's smile faded. "You will regret speaking to me like that," she muttered before walking away. Sam stood still for a moment, the morning sun shining over his house. He knew the situation was not over. Karen was planning something, and it would not be pleasant. The storm at the lake had pushed him home early, but now another storm was beginning to rise, right here on his street. The morning passed slowly for Sam. He tried to keep himself busy with small chores inside the house, but his thoughts kept circling around Karen. Her strange behavior the night before and her warning that morning felt like more than just neighborhood concern. It felt personal, almost as if she had something against him. Sam decided to keep calm. He had lived in the community for several years without trouble. Most neighbors liked him. They often shared small talks over the fence or waved as he jogged by in the evenings. Karen, however, had always been different. She seemed to enjoy control. As head of the HOA, she often sent long emails about grass being too high or trash cans being left out for too long. Many people ignored her, but she never stopped watching. That afternoon, Sam stepped outside to water his plants. The sun was warm, and the air smelled of freshly cut grass. Across the street, he noticed a few neighbors whispering to each other while glancing toward his house. When he waved, their smiles seemed uneasy. Something was spreading, and he knew Karen was likely behind it. Later, Tom, the older neighbor who had spoken with him before, walked over. His face was serious. "Sam, I think you should know," Tom said, lowering his voice. "Karen has been telling people that you are hiding something in your house. She says your return from the cabin was suspicious." Sam sighed. "That is nonsense. I came home early because of the storm. That is all." Tom nodded. "I believe you. But not everyone will. Karen knows how to twist stories. You should be careful. If she keeps pushing, people may start to doubt you." Sam thanked him for the warning. He felt both grateful and frustrated. Why would Karen spread lies about him? What could she possibly gain from this? In the evening, Sam decided to take a walk to clear his mind. The streets were quiet, and the sky turned orange with the setting sun. As he walked past Karen's house, he noticed her curtains shift slightly, as if someone was watching him. A chill ran down his spine. When he returned, he checked his backyard again. The footprints from the day before were still faintly visible, though the wind had softened them. He bent down and studied them. They had not been made by accident. Someone had walked with purpose, right to his gate and back again. That night, Sam tried to relax with a book, but another noise interrupted him. This time, it was from the front of the house. A sharp tap, like something hitting the window. He quickly went to check but saw nothing except the quiet street. The porch light showed no one outside. Still, the uneasy feeling grew stronger. The next morning, Sam woke early and decided to install a small camera near his back gate. It was a simple model he had bought months ago but never used. He fixed it carefully, pointing it toward the yard. If someone came again, he would know for sure. While he was working, another neighbor, a young woman named Maria, walked over. She looked worried. "Sam, I do not know if I should say this, but last night Karen was talking to a few people near the park. She told them that the police should keep an eye on you. She said you were acting strangely." Sam shook his head. "That is not true. I have done nothing wrong." Maria gave a small smile. "I know. But Karen has influence. Some people listen to her even when they should not. Be careful, Sam." After she left, Sam stood by his fence, thinking. The situation was getting out of hand. What started as a simple misunderstanding had now turned into gossip and suspicion. He could ignore it, but Karen's trespassing showed she was willing to go further. That evening, Sam made himself dinner and tried to stay calm. The soft music from his radio filled the kitchen, but he kept glancing toward the back of the house, waiting to see if the camera would catch anything. Around midnight, the alert from the camera buzzed on his phone. Sam sat up quickly, heart racing. He opened the live feed. The grainy image showed someone moving near the gate again. The figure was careful, looking around as if to make sure no one was watching. Even in the dim light, Sam recognized the shape. It was Karen. She was back, this time with a flashlight in her hand, shining it along the fence and the grass. She looked like she was searching for something. Sam stared at the screen, his jaw tight. There was no mistake now. Karen was not just suspicious. She was trespassing again, and she seemed determined to find something in his yard. The storm from the lake had followed him home in a way he had never expected. Sam sat in the quiet of his living room, staring at the small screen in his hand. The camera footage was clear enough to show Karen sneaking around his backyard. She moved slowly, flashing her light across the grass, as if hunting for something. Then she bent down, touched the ground, and looked around again before leaving. Sam replayed the video twice, making sure he had not imagined it. There it was, proof. Karen had no right to be on his property. She had crossed the line, and now Sam had evidence to prove it. The next morning, Sam saved the footage to a separate drive and tucked it safely away. As he sipped his coffee, he thought about his options. He could confront Karen directly with the video, but he doubted she would admit her actions. She would probably twist the story, as she always did. Another option was to go straight to the police, but he knew it was better to be prepared before making that step. Later that day, Sam walked outside to collect his mail. He noticed Karen standing across the street, speaking with two neighbors. She kept glancing at him, her expression sharp. The neighbors nodded as if agreeing with whatever she was saying. Sam felt the weight of her words spreading through the community like smoke. When he walked back toward his porch, Tom waved him over. The older man's face showed concern. "Sam, it is getting worse," he said quietly. "Karen is telling people you are hiding something dangerous." She is even saying that is why the police came the other day. She wants people to believe you are a problem. Sam's jaw tightened. I know. But this time I have proof. She was in my yard again last night. I caught her on camera. Tom's eyes widened. Good. Keep that safe. You might need it. Sam nodded. I will. She cannot keep making trouble for me. That evening, Sam sat on his porch again, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of red and gold. He tried to focus on the beauty of the moment, but his thoughts were restless. He knew Karen would not stop. She was building a story against him, and unless he acted, she would win the support of more neighbors. Around dusk, Maria came over with her small dog on a leash. She looked uneasy. Sam, I heard Karen say she is planning to bring more HOA members to your house tomorrow. She wants to do some kind of inspection. Sam frowned. She has no right to enter my property. She has already trespassed twice. Maria nodded. I believe you. But you need to be ready. She is serious this time. Sam thanked her, then went inside to check the footage once more. The video would be his shield. If Karen tried to accuse him of anything, he would reveal the truth. The next day arrived bright and clear. Sam was in his backyard, trimming some plants, when he heard footsteps. Turning around, he saw Karen walking toward his gate again, but this time she was not alone. Two other HOA members followed her, clipboards in hand. Karen spoke in a loud voice, as if making sure the nearby neighbors could hear. Sam, we are here for an inspection. We need to make sure everything on your property follows community rules. Sam straightened, holding his ground. You have no right to enter my property without my permission. If you want to inspect something, you need proper notice and a valid reason. Karen's eyes narrowed. We have reports of unusual activity. We cannot ignore them. Sam stepped forward. I know what is unusual. It is you trespassing into my yard in the middle of the night. I have proof of it. The two HOA members glanced at each other, surprised. Karen's face paled for a moment, but she quickly forced a smile. That is nonsense. You are trying to twist things around. Without another word, Sam pulled out his phone and played the video. The screen showed Karen clearly, walking through his yard with a flashlight. The two members leaned closer, their eyes wide. That is you, Karen, one of them said quietly. Karen tried to speak, but no words came out. The neighbors nearby, who had gathered at the sound of voices, also began to whisper. Sam kept the phone steady so they could all see. You accuse me of hiding something, Sam said firmly. But here is the truth. You are the one sneaking into my property without permission. Karen's face flushed red, her composure cracking. This is being misunderstood, she stammered. But the damage was done. The proof was undeniable. Sam locked eyes with her. If you try this again, I will not only show the neighborhood. I will show the police. Karen stood frozen for a moment, then turned sharply and walked away, her two companions following in silence. The crowd of neighbors lingered, whispering to each other with new doubt in their voices. Sam exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. For the first time, he felt the balance shift. The truth was out, and Karen could no longer hide behind her words alone. But deep inside, he knew this was not the end. Karen was not someone who gave up easily. She would come back, and when she did, she might be even more dangerous. The day after Sam showed the video to the HOA members, the neighborhood felt different. People still glanced toward his house, but their looks had changed. Instead of suspicion, there was curiosity, even sympathy. Sam noticed a few neighbors who used to avoid him now giving small nods or friendly waves. The truth had begun to spread, and Karen's image was not as strong as before. Still, Sam remained cautious. He knew Karen well enough to understand she would not back down easily. She had been embarrassed in front of the community, and her pride would not allow her to simply walk away. That evening, Tom came by with a basket of fresh vegetables from his garden. He placed it on Sam's porch and said, "You did the right thing, Sam." Showing that video was the only way to make people see. But keep your guard up. Karen will not let this go. She might try to turn the story again. Sam nodded. I know. That is why I kept extra copies of the footage. If she tries anything, I will be ready. Tom gave him a reassuring pat on the shoulder before heading back home. Later, as the sun sank low, Sam sat on his porch with his cup of tea. The air was warm, the street was quiet, and for a brief moment he felt a sense of peace return. But then he noticed something that unsettled him. Karen's car drove slowly down the street. She did not stop, but her eyes lingered on his house as she passed by. Sam could almost feel the weight of her stare. She was watching, waiting for a chance to strike back. The next morning, Maria knocked on his door. She looked uneasy, holding her dog's leash tightly. "Sam, I need to tell you something. Karen has been talking again. She told a few people that the video you showed was fake. She is saying you edited it to make her look bad." Sam sighed. "That is just another lie. The video is real, and the camera records directly to my phone." "She knows that?" Maria nodded. "I believe you, but not everyone understands how these things work. Some people might start to wonder if she is telling the truth." Sam thanked her for the warning. He knew Karen's tactic well. If she could not erase the evidence, she would try to weaken it with doubt. But this time, Sam had more than just the video. He had neighbors who saw her in his yard, and her own behavior was working against her. That afternoon, Sam went to the local hardware store and bought stronger locks for his gates and doors. He also added another small camera near the front porch. As he worked, a few neighbors walked by and stopped to chat. Some of them expressed support, saying they had always found Karen too strict. One man even admitted he had received unfair warnings from her about his lawn in the past. It seemed Karen's power was slipping, but Sam stayed alert. That night, Sam settled into bed early, tired from the long day. Around midnight, a sudden noise woke him. It was loud this time, a clear bang against the side of the house. He jumped up and grabbed his phone. The front camera had recorded movement. When he opened the feed, his heart raced. A figure was standing at the edge of his porch, close to the front door. The light from the street lamp caught the face. It was Karen again. She was holding something in her hand, though it was hard to see what. She bent down near the doormat, glanced around nervously, and then hurried back toward the street. Sam quickly reviewed the footage. It showed her clearly leaving something behind at his doorstep. Cautiously, he opened the front door. There, on the mat, was a small envelope. Sam picked it up and carried it inside. His hands were steady, but his mind raced with questions. He opened the envelope and pulled out a piece of paper. The note was short but unsettling. "You cannot hide forever. People will see the truth." Sam stared at the words, feeling a chill run through him. This was no longer just gossip or trespassing. Karen had left him a direct warning. He sat down, holding the note, and realized the situation had reached a new level. Karen was not giving up. She was becoming desperate, and desperate people often made dangerous choices. Sam knew he could not face this alone anymore. It was time to take the next step and bring the police fully into the matter. The storm that had begun with suspicion was now turning into a battle of truth and lies, and Sam understood the hardest part was still to come. Sam sat at his kitchen table with the note in front of him. The words on the paper were short, but they carried weight. Karen was not only trespassing and spreading lies, she was now leaving threats at his door. Sam knew it was time to stop waiting and act. Early the next morning, he drove to the local police station. The small building stood near the edge of town, quiet but welcoming. Inside, Sam explained everything to the officer at the front desk. He showed the videos from his cameras, one of Karen in his backyard and another of her leaving the envelope on his porch. He also handed over the note itself. The officer listened carefully, then called another officer to join them. After reviewing the footage, the second officer nodded. "This is clear evidence of trespassing and harassment," he said. "You did the right thing by coming here. We will file a report and speak to her directly." Sam felt some relief hearing those words. At least now the matter was official. He signed the necessary papers and gave a detailed statement before leaving the station. Back home, Sam tried to relax, but he knew the situation might grow tense once Karen realized the police were involved. He spent the afternoon fixing a few things around the house, trying to keep busy. Still, every time a car drove past or footsteps echoed outside, his attention sharpened. In the evening, a police cruiser rolled slowly down the street. Sam stepped onto his porch and saw it stop in front of Karen's house. Two officers walked up to her door. A few curious neighbors peeked through curtains or stood outside, pretending to water their lawns. Karen came out after a few moments. Her face was tense as she spoke with the officers. Though Sam could not hear the words, the gestures were clear. She shook her head, pointed in his direction, and crossed her arms. The officers remained calm, explaining firmly, then handed her a paper, likely a warning. Finally, they left, and Karen stood in her yard, glaring toward Sam's house. Sam met her stare but did not react. He felt safer knowing the police had spoken to her. Still, he doubted the warning would silence her completely. Later that night, Tom knocked on Sam's door. "I saw the police at her place," Tom said. "That was a smart move. People around here are starting to realize she is the one causing trouble, not you." Sam nodded. "I just want peace. That is all." Tom gave a kind smile. "You will have it soon. She cannot fight against the truth forever." The next day passed quietly. For the first time in weeks, Sam felt a little ease. He worked in his garden, waved at Maria walking her dog, and even chatted with a neighbor about the weather. The shadow Karen had cast seemed to be lifting. But peace did not last long. That evening, as Sam prepared dinner, a knock sounded on the door. When he opened it, Karen stood there, her arms stiff at her sides. Her voice was low but sharp. "You think calling the police will stop me? You are wrong. People here will know who you really are. I will make sure of it." Sam held her gaze. "Karen, this has to stop. You are crossing the line. I have proof, and the police have it too. If you continue, you will only make things worse for yourself." Karen's lips tightened. She looked as if she wanted to argue more, but instead she turned and walked away without another word. Sam closed the door, locking it firmly. His heart was steady, but his thoughts were alert. Her threat was not empty. She was still determined. That night, he checked his cameras again before going to bed. Everything seemed calm. The street was quiet, the lights flickered softly, and no movement showed on the screens. For once, he slept without interruption. The next morning, however, brought a new surprise. When Sam stepped outside to collect his newspaper, he found small flyers scattered on the street. He picked one up and froze. It had his name written across the top with bold letters claiming he was suspicious and untrustworthy. The flyer was full of false words, accusing him of hiding things and breaking rules. Sam looked around. The papers were everywhere on lawns, in driveways, even near the park. Karen had not stopped. She had simply changed her tactic. The storm in the neighborhood was not over. It was only getting stronger, and now the whole community was being dragged into it. The morning sun shone brightly on the neighborhood, but Sam's mood was heavy. The flyers scattered across the lawns were a new attack, and this time the whole street could see them. He picked up a few, his jaw tightening as he read the lies printed in bold. Untrustworthy. Suspicious. Dangerous. None of it was true, but the words were loud enough to stir doubt in anyone who read them. Sam looked around and saw neighbors stepping out of their homes, picking up the same flyers. Some frowned, some shook their heads, and a few crumpled them angrily. Tom walked over, holding one of the papers. Sam, she has gone too far. This is not just gossip anymore. This is harassment. Sam nodded. I agree. I will take this to the police again. She cannot spread lies like this. Maria joined them, her dog tugging at the leash. Many of us know the truth, Sam. We saw the video. We know she is lying. Do not worry, you are not alone. Her words gave Sam strength. He gathered several flyers and placed them in a folder along with the camera footage and the threatening note. Then he drove to the police station once more. Inside, he met the same officer who had taken his report before. Sam explained what happened and showed the flyers. The officer's face grew firm. This is targeted harassment. Combined with the videos and the note, this makes a strong case. We will take action. Sam felt a wave of relief. The law was now fully on his side. That afternoon, police officers returned to the neighborhood, but this time they were not just giving warnings. They knocked on Karen's door and spoke firmly. After a long discussion, they handed her a legal notice. Neighbors gathered quietly to watch, whispering among themselves. Karen's face was pale, her usual confidence gone. She tried to argue, waving her hands, but the officers remained steady. Finally, she slammed the door and disappeared inside. The news spread quickly. The legal notice restricted Karen from harassing Sam further. Any more trespassing, threats, or false accusations would bring serious consequences. In the days that followed, the change in the neighborhood was clear. No more whispers, no more doubtful glances. Neighbors greeted Sam warmly, some even apologizing for believing Karen's words earlier. Tom often stopped by to share fresh vegetables, and Maria sometimes walked her dog along Sam's side of the street to show support. Karen, however, kept to herself. Her curtains stayed drawn, and her usual walks through the neighborhood stopped. Without her loud voice spreading fear, the community felt lighter, almost peaceful. One evening, as Sam sat on his porch watching the sunset, Tom joined him. You handled this well, Sam. You stayed calm, gathered proof, and let the truth speak. That is why people believe you now. Sam smiled faintly. I only wanted peace. I never wanted a fight. Tom nodded. Sometimes standing for peace requires strength. You showed that. Maria passed by just then, waving with a smile. The neighborhood feels different now, she said. Better. Quieter. Maybe it is time for a new kind of leadership here. Sam knew what she meant. Karen had lost the respect of many, and the HOA might soon look for a new head. He did not want the role for himself, but he hoped someone fair would take charge. That night, Sam walked through his backyard. The gate was locked, the garden neat, and the cameras silent. The storm that had begun with suspicion, trespassing, and lies had finally passed. He looked up at the clear sky filled with stars and breathed deeply. For the first time in weeks, he felt truly at peace. The truth had won, and no matter how strong Karen's lies had been, they could not stand against it. Sam stepped back inside his home, closing the door with a sense of finality. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew one thing for certain: he had faced the storm, and he had come through stronger. And the neighborhood, once clouded by doubt, could now return to the simple life it was meant to have: quiet, safe, and honest.